Tuesday, 1 October, the very beginning of October. How about that? Welcome to the PDB Afternoon Bulletin. I'm Mike Baker, your eyes and ears on the world stage. All right, let's get briefed. Time to buckle up, kids. First, we've got breaking news out of the Middle East as Iran unleashes a massive missile attack on Israel in a major regional escalation. Then we'll have the latest on the developing situation out of northern Israel as the IDF officially launches a limited ground invasion of Lebanon. But first, our afternoon spotlight. Iran launched a massive wave of missiles at Israel on Tuesday, just hours after the Biden administration had warned that an attack from the Islamic regime was, quote, imminent. Now, I want to stress that this is a rapidly developing story, and the PDB is bringing you only the details in which we have high confidence. We try not to speculate. According to Israeli Army radio, Iran fired two separate waves of nearly 200 ballistic missiles combined shortly after 7:30 p.m. Israeli time. The bombardment targeted Jerusalem, Tel Aviv, parts of the coast, and central Israel. And that's according to a report from The Guardian. Air raid sirens sounded across the country, and Israel's Iron Dome defenses kicked in to intercept the incoming barrage, though the stream of missiles was steady, and it's unclear just yet how many were successfully shot down. Witnesses on the ground in Tel Aviv reported hearing, quote, impacts, according to a report again from The Guardian. As the missiles flew, the Israeli security cabinet was rushed to an emergency bunker in Jerusalem. And just 10 minutes after the first wave of missiles, a second wave began passing over the skies of Jerusalem, appearing to come from a different direction than the first barrage. It was an unprecedented escalation by Iran, which claimed that the attacks were a, quote, legal, rational, and legitimate response to the killing of Hamas leader Ismail Haniyeh in a Mossad bombing in July and the death of Hezbollah leader Hassan Nasrallah, who was killed in an Israeli airstrike in Beirut on Friday. The Iranian mission to the United Nations issued a statement following the attack declaring that Iran's response had, quote, been duly carried out and threatened that if Israel retaliates or, quote, commits further acts of malevolence, a subsequent and crushing response will ensue, end quote. Iranian Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, who ordered the attack, has reportedly been taken to a secure location inside Iran amid the heightened security situation. It appears the attack ended shortly after the second wave of missiles. A spokesman for the Israeli military said initial reports indicated several missiles landed in central and southern Israel, but that the vast majority had been intercepted. The IDF spokesman warned that the attack would have, quote, consequences, stating, quote, we have plans and we will act in the time and place that we decide, end quote. All right. Coming up, we'll have the latest on the developing situation out of northern Israel as the IDF officially launches a limited ground invasion of Lebanon. I'll be right back. Welcome back to the Afternoon Bulletin. Israel initiated limited ground raids into southern Lebanon on Monday evening, targeting Hezbollah infrastructure positioned along Israel's northern border. And it's an operation aimed at further degrading the capabilities of the Iranian-backed terror group. Operations kicked off just hours after the Israeli Security Cabinet approved plans for the next phase of the war, which officials said was necessary due to Hezbollah's attempts to infiltrate Israel from the north. And that would be in violation of a 2006 UN resolution, which in theory anyway, bars Hezbollah from operating south of the Litani River in Lebanon. And that's according to a report from the Times of Israel. Israeli officials, who have not provided details on the incursion, noted that Hezbollah weapons and launch infrastructure in a number of Lebanese border villages still posed an immediate threat to Israeli civilians in the north. Ahead of the operations, the IDF called for the evacuation of 27 Lebanese villages along the border, telling residents to head at least 30 miles north. In a statement, Israeli officials said the military is, quote, continuing to operate to achieve the goals of the war and is doing everything necessary to defend the citizens of Israel and return the citizens of northern Israel to their homes, end quote. The IDF's elite paratrooper and commando units led the assault and reportedly faced no resistance from Hezbollah as they raided the border villages Monday evening and Tuesday. Hezbollah, for their part, denied that Israeli troops had crossed the border, calling the reports, quote, lies, though it's worth noting that the Lebanese military, which is not associated with the group, had pulled their troops back 3 miles as of late Monday. Meanwhile, Israeli officials stressed that the operation amounted to, quote, limited, localized, and targeted raids and did not constitute a full-scale ground invasion. One senior Israeli security official told the BBC that troops had only ventured, quote, a close walking distance into Lebanon. According to the report from the Times of Israel, leaders in Jerusalem informed their U.S. counterparts of their operations, but stressed that it would be limited in both time and scope, and that Israel had no intention of occupying southern Lebanon. The officials told the Biden administration that the mission is intended to remove Hezbollah's remaining military capabilities along the border to create the conditions for a diplomatic intervention. The hope is reportedly to eventually force the terror group into permanently withdrawing their forces north of the Litani River in southern Lebanon in accordance with the 2006 UN resolution. U.S. officials reportedly warily endorsed Israel's latest military actions, but expressed concerns that any limited operation runs the risk, of course, of deteriorating into a longer-term engagement. As the limited incursion got underway, but before Iran unleashed their ballistic missile attacks, Hezbollah escalated their own missile strikes on Israel, firing several medium-range surface-to-surface missiles north and south of Tel Aviv on Tuesday. One struck a major highway outside of Tel Aviv, reportedly injuring at least 2 people. As fighting intensifies and concerns mount over escalation, leaders in Jerusalem imposed new restrictions Tuesday on millions of Israelis from the northern Galilee down to Jerusalem and Tel Aviv, including the closing of schools and workplaces and limits on public and private gatherings. And that, my friends, is the PDB Afternoon Bulletin for Tuesday, 1 October. If you have any questions or comments, please reach out to me at pdb@thefirsttv.com. And if you happen to be hankering for an ad-free PDB experience, well, become a premium member of the President's Daily Brief by visiting pdbpremium.com. I'm Mike Baker, and I'll be back tomorrow. Until then, stay informed, stay safe, stay cool.